Chapter 55 Invitation to Talk with Dugu Bo's Grandson. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just after Qin Ming and Yin Shu waited for 2 hours, Liu Erlong and Feng Yao appeared in front of them one after another. Seeing the two people slowly approaching him, Yin Shu's eyes almost popped out of his head. I saw Liu Erlong wearing an emerald green palace dress, with a little pink on her pretty face, and 3,000 black hair naturally scattered on her back. She exuded a mature and charming atmosphere all over her body. What surprised Yin Shu was not because of Liu Erlong's beauty, but because Liu Erlong never put on makeup and often looked depressed. Now it turns out, however, he knew his dean's temper and did not dare to express it blatantly. Qin Ming had also seen Liu Erlong's methods. Although Liu Erlong was amazing, he didn't dare to have any thoughts. Feng Yao was still wearing the silver-white robe from before. He glanced at Qin Ming with his red eyes and said softly, "Teacher Yin Shu, Teacher Qin Ming." Yin Shu smiled and nodded without saying much. The same is true for Qin Ming. Liu Erlong had seen Qin Ming twice and still had some impressions, so he said with some confusion, "Yin Shu, Teacher Qin Ming, who are you?" Yin Shu didn't speak, but focused on Qin Ming. Qin Ming understood and bowed to Liu Erlong first, and then explained why he came this time. After a while, after listening to Qin Ming's words, Liu Erlong frowned slightly. She was not very willing to let Feng Yao go to Tiando Royal Academy, especially to have contact with His Highness the Crown Prince. Liu Erlong felt that with Feng Yao's little brains, he might be devoured and tricked to the point where he couldn't find any clues. The most important thing is that Dugu Bo's granddaughter, Dugu Yan, is also there. Liu Erlong thought for a moment and sighed in his heart. How could I stop an 18-year-old girl when I, a woman, running for 4, had already eaten it? Looking back, if Dugu Bo had been tough, he would have been the third party. Xiao Feng, what do you think? Liu Erlong's beautiful eyes looked at Feng Yao aside, his eyes full of expectation. It seemed that he hoped Feng Yao would refuse. It is His Royal Highness's order, so of course I will go. Feng Yao smiled lightly and did not refuse. He could naturally see the meaning in Liu Erlong's eyes. He also didn't want to come into contact with Xue Qinghe, that is, Qianren Xue. Although I look down on the other party's plan to steal the country, however, the other party is now the prince in name, and secretly the heir to Wuhuan Palace. This kind of status. Qin Ming looked happy when he saw Feng Yao agreeing. In that case, let's set off. Feng Yao smiled and nodded. It is good. At the gate of the college, I saw Feng Yao getting into Qin Ming's carriage. Liu Erlong pursed his red lips slightly, his eyes full of anxiety. Master Dean, Feng Yao will not be in danger if he goes to Tiando Royal Academy. Yin Shu saw Liu Erlong's worried look, and felt that Liu Erlong was a little too concerned. What do you know? Liu Erlong glared at Yin Shu with his beautiful eyes, and said dissatisfiedly, what if a genius like Xiao Feng is taken away one day without noticing? I'm still looking forward to the future. What's in the future? Seeing Liu Erlong mid-sentence, Yin Shu was a little curious. Go, do your work. Why do you have so many problems all day long? Liu Erlong waved his hand, with a very impatient expression on his pretty face. After saying that, Liu Erlong left the school gate without looking back and walked straight towards his small courtyard. Yin Shu stared blankly at Liu Erlong's leaving figure. In the end, all the words I wanted to say left quietly with a sigh. Here, the carriage quickly left Tiando City and headed towards Tiando Royal Academy. In the carriage, Feng Yao sat opposite Qin Ming and asked softly, Teacher Qin Ming, could you tell me why His Highness the Crown Prince came to see me? Qin Ming shook his head. Actually, I don't know either. Moreover, it was not just His Highness the Crown Prince who invited you this time. When he came, Dugu Yan from our Imperial fighting team also asked me to meet you. Feng Yao was stunned when he heard this. Dugu Yan wants to see him. Could it be the fault of that old poisoner Dugu Bo? It should be. At this time, I don't know if Dugu Yan is with you Tianheng. Thinking of this, Feng Yao then said, I have a question, I want to ask Teacher Qin Ming. Oh? Qin Ming was stunned and chuckled. You're welcome, please. Feng Yao was not polite and said directly, I wonder if there is any special relationship between Dugu Yan and you Tianheng. Special relationship? Qin Ming was stunned for a moment, but then he understood the meaning of Feng Yao's words, and chuckled. Although I am the leader of the Imperial fighting team, I don't ask much about the personal affairs of the team members. However, I have heard that Tian Heng's the child has been pursuing Yanzi. As for whether it's successful or not, I don't know yet. What? Feng Yao, are you also interested in Yanzi? Feng Yao smiled slightly, without further explanation, and said with a smile, my fair lady, a gentleman is so brave. Well said. Qin Ming's eyes lit up and he looked back and forth at Feng Yao again. Excellent literary talent. Feng Yao scratched his head in embarrassment, teacher Qin Ming is too praised. Although Tiando Royal Academy was some distance away from Tiando City, the speed of the carriage was not slow, and the two of them quickly arrived at the gate of Tiando Royal Academy. Not long after the two of them entered Tiando Royal Academy, a group of people wearing Tiando Royal Academy uniforms came towards them. Feng Yao looked closely and saw that it was Huangdo's 7 people. Teacher Qin Ming, Yu Tianheng, who was at the forefront, saluted Qin Ming slightly. The rest of the people did the same thing. Qin Ming smiled and nodded, looked at Feng Yao aside, and said with a smile, Feng Yao, you have seen him before. Yu Tianheng narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, Brother Feng, we meet again. Brother Yu. Although Feng Yao didn't like such a title, he couldn't be rude to the other party. As for Dugu Yan and the team, her beautiful eyes moved when she saw Feng Yao was there. Recalling her grandfather's words in her mind, time went back to the day when Dugu Bo came with the antidote prepared by Feng Yao to detoxify Dugu Yan. Grandpa, how could you let me be with someone I've only met twice? Dugu Yan, who was originally happy because of her grandfather Dugu Bo's visit, suddenly became a little annoyed when she heard that her grandfather had betrothed her to an unfamiliar person. Dugu Bo sighed, raised his hand and patted Dugu Yan on the shoulder, and said solemnly, Yan, you don't understand. That kid's talent is the only one my grandpa has seen in his life. As long as he can grow up smoothly, he will break Tang Hao's record and become the youngest titled Douluo in the mainland. Chapter 56 Talk with Dugu Yan. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Grandpa, how can you be so exaggerated? That man looks to be about the same age as me, but his soul power is not as high as mine. Dugu Yan curled his lips, crossed his arms and said disdainfully. People can't be seen. Dugu Bo was helpless. That Feng Yao looks about the same age as you, but in fact he is only 10 years old. What? Dugu Yan's beautiful eyes widened and her arms lowered involuntarily. How is this possible? What can he eat to grow so fast? I don't think it's possible either. But it's the fact. And Dugu Bo hesitated to speak, which made Dugu Yan a little anxious. The 10-year-old soul lord sounds like a fantasy no matter how you hear it. And what, Grandpa, you are telling me? When we parted ways with him, I didn't know what methods he used, but he was already at level 40. Speaking of this, Dugu Bo's voice was trembling even though he was a titled Douluo. Dugu Bo's words were like thunder, exploding in Dugu Yan's mind. She finally understands now, why did his grandfather spend so much time and effort to bring himself and Feng Yao together? Just when Dugu Yan was thinking alone, Dugu Bo's big hand caressed Dugu Yan's hair, and said rather sadly, that boy is not only unique in his talent for cultivation, but he is also very knowledgeable in the use of medicine. You know, he prepared the antidote that I gave you before. Dugu Yan was shocked again. After Dugu Bo's explanation, she now knew that she was indeed poisoned. Presumably, Feng Yao said those words to him that day because he saw that he was poisoned. Grandpa, even if you say this, I still want to follow my own wishes. Ugh. Dugu Bo sighed. He glanced at Dugu Yan, who looked determined, and said, in that case, Yan, I hope you will think about it carefully. You know, if you miss this opportunity, you may not have it in the future. Time returns to the present. Dugu Yan walked out of the crowd, her beautiful eyes stared closely at Feng Yao, who was standing next to Qin Ming, and said calmly. Teacher Qin, I have something and I want to talk to him alone. I don't know if that's possible. Qin Ming was stunned, thinking of Dugu Yan's request to him before. He pondered for a moment and then said, yes, but be quick, I have to take Feng Yao to see His Highness the Crown Prince. Dugu Yan nodded, the water snake's waist twisted slightly, and he walked up to Feng Yao with a light step. I want to talk to you alone. Can you come with me? Feng Yao looked indifferent and nodded, Miss Dugu, you're welcome, please. That he already had some guesses about what Dugu Yan wanted to say. The two walked away from everyone's sight. Seeing this scene, Yu Tianheng, who was originally calm and had a gentle smile on his face, suddenly froze. Qin Ming didn't care about these, but behind Yu Tianheng, Yu Feng and Osluo couldn't hold back their gossip. The two stood on both sides of Yu Tianheng, laughing and teasing. Boss, look at Sister Yan and that boy leaving. Don't you plan to do something? That's right, that kid's talent is not as good as yours, boss. Why don't the brothers help you to deal with that kid later? Yu Tianheng's face darkened, his fists clenched, and traces of thunder and lightning emerged from the surface of his body. When the two of them saw Yu Tianheng's dark face, his figure flashed and instantly slipped behind the Shi brothers. Here, Dugu Yan stamped his feet, turned around, looked at Feng Yao with his beautiful eyes and said softly, "Thank you in advance for your life-saving grace. I heard my grandfather said that without you, our Dugu family might be doomed. I took senior's things, so I will naturally try my best to help you detoxify." To be honest, Feng Yao was a little surprised. I didn't expect that my medicinal solution would be so effective. It's been less than 10 days, and Dugu Yan's hair color has already begun to change. Slowly changing from emerald green to black, even the pupils that were originally green have turned black. My grandfather should have told you that he wanted to betroth me to you, right? Dugu Yan said with a slight blush on his cheeks. Feng Yao raised the corners of his mouth slightly and nodded with a smile. Please rest assured, Miss Dugu, about this matter. Although senior has said it, I will not take it seriously. Everyone has the right to choose the path he wants to take. Dugu Yan's beautiful eyes lit up, looking at Feng Yao again. There was something inexplicable in his eyes. Jade stretched out her hand towards Feng Yao and chuckled. You are very good. If possible, we can start as friends. Let me introduce myself again, Dugu Yan. People who know me well call me Yanzi. Please don't call me Miss Dugu from now on. It's very awkward. Feng Yao smiled and nodded. Feng Yao. Dugu Yan looked around with her beautiful eyes, and when she saw that there was no one close by, she whispered, well. I heard from Grandpa that you are only 10 years old. Is it true? Please Yanzi, keep it a secret for me. The more people know about this matter, the more trouble I will have. Feng Yao said with a serious expression. Dugu Yan nodded and promised, yeah, don't worry, my grandpa told me. And, it seems like I'm older than you. From now on, how about you call me Sister Yan, and I'll call you Xiao Feng. Feng Yao was stunned for a moment, and was instantly silenced. Why is everyone taking advantage of him now? Regardless of whether Feng Yao wants it or not, a smile appeared on Dugu Yan's pretty face. Okay, since you don't speak, it means you agree. Let's go. I heard that Teacher Qin should have other things to do when he comes to you. I won't waste your time anymore. The two ended their conversation and returned to the team one after another. Yanzi, what were you talking about? Seeing the two people coming back, Yu Tianheng couldn't wait to get to Dugu Yan's side and asked. Anything related to our family must be kept secret. Dugu Yan slowly returned to the team and said calmly. Yu Tianheng's face froze, a little ugly. When he looked at Feng Yao again, his eyes were no longer as polite as before, but full of hostility. Feng Yao also saw all this, but didn't pay much attention to it. It seems that the relationship between these two people is just friends and teammates, and there is no emotional basis. Then if I really get together with Dugu Yan, I won't be considered as trying to gain leverage. Teacher Qin, if there is nothing to explain, then we will go practice first. Yu Tianheng looked at Qin Ming and said with a smile. When Qin Ming heard this, he naturally agreed. After everyone left me, Qin Ming took Feng Yao to the academy. Soon, Qin Ming brought Feng Yao to the room where Tiando Royal Academy entertained guests. Looking at the two royal knights guarding the door, Qin Ming understood. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince has arrived. I won't go in. You can go in by yourself. Qin Ming looked at Feng Yao aside and said slowly. Feng Yao nodded. Although I was very puzzled by Qian Renshua's sudden search, now that I had arrived, there was no turning back. When Feng Yao approached, the two royal knights naturally opened the door for him. It was obvious that Feng Yao had been noticed for a long time and had been informed about it.